Before every election in West Bengal, the common topic in the entire Indian media happens to be the political violence of West Bengal. We get to see disturbing violent images of young and mostly malnutritioned males motivated politically and involved in all kinds of misdeed for their supported political parties. Generally, we label them as goons or miscreants without understanding their background and what they are looking for. The economic decline and the political violence of West Bengal are political subjects and very popular among the students of political and social sciences. There are several research papers on these subjects in various well-known universities around the world. I tried to dig into Bengali cinema looking for plots and characters depicting this economic decline and people involved in the violence, and I found Buddhadeb Dasgupta's 1982 film Grihajuddha. Buddhadeb Dasgupta is one of the leading Bengali filmmakers. I was always fascinated by Dasgupta's movies Uttara, Tahader Kotha and Lal Darja. The application of images and magic realism is always profound in his movies. Grihajuddha is one of the earlier work of Dasgupta. Unlike his later works, this film deals more with the reality and the inner struggle of urban lives in the time of constant battle between idealism and capitalism. When I first saw this film, I was fascinated by the images of early 80s Calcutta. I found a lot of similarities between my own childhood memories of Calcutta and the Calcutta shown in this film. In the film, the chief labor officer, Mr. Ghosh, of a large steel company, Steel Web, was killed under mysterious circumstances, allegedly murdered by the miscreants hired by the same company, after he filed some complaints against the company directly to the Labor Ministry. The story of the film revolves around a young woman, Nirupama, whose brother Pravir was the union leader of a factory of the same steel company in an industrial town. After Mr. Ghosh's death, Pravir was also brutally murdered by the same goons allegedly hired by the management of the company. After the murder of her brother and the elder son of the family was also threatened by the same group of miscreants and was forced to migrate to the state capital Kolkata, where the young woman tried to look for the job to help her family. At this time of the murder of Pravir, his friend Bijon also went underground to avoid the same fate as Pravir. Bijon was also romantically involved with Nirupama, but all these incidents separated them for a long time. Now, while all these things were happening in Nirupama's life, an idealist and motivated journalist, Sandipon, got the assignment to work on the story of the mysterious death of the labor officer. Sandipon gets involved in digging the truth behind the death of Ghosh and Pravir. Sandipon interviewed different people involved and affected in these incidents and prepares a draft report. In the process, he also slowly comes closer to Nirupama. During this time, Bijon also returns in Nirupama's life, but as a transformed person. After this, all the main character goes to their logical ending in the film, and we get to see an unforgettable ending which is in complete contrast to mainstream Bengali cinema. To understand this film and the background, we need to understand the social and economic situation of late 70s and early 80s of West Bengal. Till 1950s, West Bengal was the economic powerhouse of India. Industries ranging from jute, cotton, tea, basic metals and steel, machinery and others contributed the major chunk of the entire country's industry output. Products such as Bengali jute was exported to US and Europe. But after the Indian independence and partition of India, West Bengal saw a huge inflow of migrants which severely impacted the ratio of available jobs and applicants for the job. The jute industry of West Bengal also saw a negative impact due to the partition, as the raw jute had to be exported with a high export duty. Bengal's metal and engineering industry also impacted due to different government policies which went against the state, most notably the freight equalization policy. During the 1960s, there were several droughts in India and there were wars with neighboring countries, and as a result, India government's interest shifted towards agriculture and defense. West Bengal's engineering industry became deprived of public sector funding, which was the main lifeline before. In addition, after the nationally politically turbulent period of 60s and 70s, the central government and West Bengal's state government remained politically and ideologically against each other, and this difference impacted central government's clearance for new industries in West Bengal compared to other states where the state government were ideologically aligned to central. Through several land reforms, West Bengal's state government became more agricultural friendly than industrialization. The state government's political ideology also went against establishing big industries in the state by national and multinational players. Along with this, the age-old infrastructure of the state and non-interest to adopt new technologies become more adverse for the industries to flourish in the state. Ultimately, we saw a steady decline in the economic growth compared to some other states in India. When things were not going well, there were increased labor unrests and the perception of the militant trade unions became more and more prominent. Initially, the labor unrests such as strikes were more, but after some time, due to all these factors, the industry owners slowly started to take the business away from West Bengal. The number of lockouts overtook the number of strikes. To bridge the consumer needs, the well-organized and properly managed big industries were replaced by small-scale industries and ancillary factories, which lacked proper wages, social security for the employees, and poor product reliability and services. The permanent jobs were replaced by daily wage uncertainties. The agricultural sector reforms also failed to create a class of self-reliant farmers, and due to the lack of year-long access to lands, the sharecroppers and farm laborers moved to the cities for the hope of small jobs and wages. Another important part of West Bengal's history is that during the politically turbulent time of late 60s and early 70s, the social unrest and inequality resulted in a revolutionary violent movement. Thousands of educated youth got involved, and to suppress the movement, the entire state machinery was utilized. High number of jobless and less educated youth was also utilized by the ruling political class as goons against the members of the revolutionary movement. After the movement lost its strength, these goons remained available for the use of the political parties and other interested class. We see one of them in this film as one of the main characters. Now coming back to the film, at the beginning we saw the glimpses of the big steel web factory in the industrial town of Barakpur. We saw the labor officer Ghosh living in an urban apartment in Calcutta. After his mysterious death, the company even let his family stay in that company apartment, possibly to suppress any further investigation demanded by the family. Similarly, Nirupama was also offered a job in the Calcutta office, which Nirupama was forced to take as there were no other options, no other jobs available. Here we can see that the big industries can create job and provide social cover for their employees. On the contrary, we see a small factory in the city which Nirupama visited for the hope of getting a job does not even have a toilet for the female employees. This stark difference between the big industries which were going out of Bengal and the small industries which were flocking into the city is brilliantly shown by Dasgupta in this film. After Nirupama's family moved to Calcutta, her younger brother noticed a photo of a Calcutta lower division league goalkeeper in the sports page, and he could identify him as the same miscreant who was involved with Prabir's death and who came to their house to threaten them. His name was written as Shital Dash, and he was a promising footballer of a league club. When the reporter Shandipan did his research on the case, he found that Shital Dash was known for his skills with knife, but he was also a promising footballer and he was desperately looking for a job. The company management allegedly lured him for a job in the company as a player and in turn used him to murder Ghosh and Prabir. Though we don't see Shital murdering Ghosh, but Sandipan found out the similarity in the handwriting of Shital Dash and the handwriting in the threatening letter he got from Ghosh's widow wife. There is an important scene where Sandipan went to interview Shital Dash in his football club after practice, apparently showing that he wanted to interview all promising players in the Calcutta Division Football League. Actually, Sandipan wanted to extract whatever information possible from Shital Dash himself, including why he still did not get the job at the steel web. Shital wanted to avoid questions about steel web, but he couldn't help giving his autograph to Sandipan when Sandipan said that he was collecting the autograph of all big players in the league. Sandipan already had the letter of threat sent to labor officer Mr. Ghosh from his wife, so he wanted to cross-verify the handwriting, but Shital Dash was not that intelligent to understand Sandipan's hidden agenda. During this interview, Shital told Sandipan about his childhood. Shital was from a needy family and couldn't complete his education. He said he had done some other things in the past, but now he just wanted to play. He talked about some popular footballer and became awestruck like a great fan while talking about the footballer. And at the very next moment, he punched the table in frustration about not getting any job. It was clear that Shital wanted a job by any means so that he could pursue his dream football career without thinking about earning money. In this interview scene, the director Dasgupta clearly showed us the tragedy of these dreamers like Shital Das, who fell prey to the powerful class of the society and are used for various unlawful activities. Dasgupta, being a student of economics, shows us this vicious cycle of demand and supply which is prevalent even in today's date. All these miscreants we see in the media today are all different versions of Shital Das, who are still falling prey to the powerful in the society. One can argue that these people like Shital Das could have worked hard doing odd jobs to earn a living without being involved in illegal activities. But simply, we cannot impose one simple ideal rule universally for all the people in various social structures and backgrounds. I already discussed that after 1950s, the economic situation went downhill in West Bengal. It was very tough to find a decent job for a less educated youth, and moreover, being a promising footballer, it might not be possible for Shital just to leave the city and go for a job in some other states of India, like a lot others did at that time. During the interview scene, when Shital was describing his childhood, we see a child working in the club, doing little things like bringing the food to players. With this shot, Dasgupta gives us the hint that the society has not evolved yet and the same demand-supply cycle still runs. At the end of the film, Shital met with his fate, which I will not discuss and will ask everyone to watch in the film. The actor Sunil Mukherjee brilliantly played this character in this film. Dasgupta's screenplay neither justifies the deeds of Shital nor rejects him as a mere low-life antisocial. Instead, Dasgupta creates an atmosphere where we can easily connect with Shital and all other misguided dreamers like him. Shital Das is a very important character in Bengali cinema, which I never heard being talked about or discussed about. One small question I had about the film, that this film portrayed the steel web company management negatively, and the exact reason of Ghosh and Prabir's murder was never made clear. Maybe Steel Wave was also looking for a way out from West Bengal like other companies did, and they were just looking for some labor trouble to be shown as the usual justification for the exit. Dasgupta kept this part open for the viewers to judge. I will end this discussion here. I watched this film multiple times and I will request everyone to watch this film. All the characters of the film like Nirupama, Sandipan, Bijon, Nirupama's father are all so real that we can easily connect with them. The music of the film creates an atmosphere of hope and despair at the same time. This is a must-watch Buddhadeb Dasgupta film. For further viewing, there are many interviews of Dasgupta available on the internet about his works, his films and poetry, which will inspire all. Thank you for watching this video. This was my first video about an Indian and Bengali cinema. Let me know what you think about this film in your comments. Thank you.